Update. Oh, not athletes and cannabis. I'll go ahead and switch that over real quick. What's going on, Ohio Cannabis Report family? Thanks for joining us on another episode and update of the Ohio Cannabis Report with all things Ohio Cannabis. Thanks to our subscribers. We're up to 31 subscribers now. So appreciate all those subscribers. If you haven't liked or subscribed or commented, please like, comment, subscribe to us, as we try to keep this platform going. And thanks for all the support for that we do this out the kindness of our hearts, and we just love our cannabis community. And so today I'm just going to update you guys on new dispensaries that have opened in the state of Ohio. We'll do some news. um, I'm also on live right now on Instagram. So, too, if you follow us on YouTube, make sure you're following us on Instagram as well. We have a TikTok page, but we haven't really updated a lot on TikTok. Um, and so, yeah, if you want to join the team and help us, create more content, create more spaces, moderate, whatever, be our guests. All that you do. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I wish I could do more. That's the one thing about me. Like, yeah, I was just talking to my wife, because my kids go to their grandparents on the weekends, and so you know, I tell my wife I miss them and stuff because they drive up to Zanesville, and she's like, you got to get some rest, and it's hard for me to rest because I see the things that need to be done. People talk about, well, like you talk about problems. Well, let's talk about the solution. Well, we could talk about solutions all day, but if you don't listen to the solution or you find a way to negate the solution, and we still haven't even uncovered most of the problems, I don't know what to do. I have conversations and I talk about things that are going on with the people. But I wish I could do more, because I'm a perfectionist. I'm somebody that's like, I really want to help. I really want to, again, my life has been, I've been very privileged to live a certain lifestyle and see certain things. And so I understand the value of one, bringing value, adding value. I understand the opportunity at stake. I understand uh, being able to read between the lines. I understand politics. I understand healthcare. I understand business. And I also understand that a lot of people don't maybe not have access to everything or understand things. And so I just try to bring that element, but also just use my voice and my platform or create platforms or create spaces that people, can feel seen or heard or, maybe like, hey, because I understand it's tough. It's hard. Zanesville, watch the mines fracking out there, please. Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's even hard for me to go to Zanesville. I actually lived there for a few years. And my in-laws are there. I get very sad and depressed like when I go to places like that. You know what I mean? Because it's just like everybody is so fine with like the status quo, like, or it just feels like I'm like living in another time, like coming from like Washington, D.C., where everything is so fast, the East Coast, where everything's so fast. And then going out there in the middle of like nowhere, and like, they're happy when they get like a fast food restaurant in Zanesville. You know what I mean? It's just like I get it, but like the obesity rate out there is bad. When you look at the drug rate, it's just the poverty rate. It's a beautiful area though. Like I actually asked my wife to marry me in Zanesville over the what is the Y Bridge. And so I love the people there, like, and it's one of the reasons, like, again, like there's amazing people in Ohio. And again, like they're just all over, they're ducked off in places like Zanesville. Like my wife is a Black woman in Zanesville, Ohio. Like her family, like my father-in-law, Black man. Now they light skinned, they Zanesville Black. But it's like, what the fuck are y'all doing here? Like, what the fuck are y'all doing here? You know what I mean? And it's just like, and I met my wife and I was like, damn, she is beautiful, gorgeous. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of nowhere, like, and like there's a lot of the women in Ohio. I'm just like, fuck. And that was one of the reasons I came to Ohio because I was like, these girls in DC, like they fast. Like, shh. A lot of the girls I went to high school with, they was dating college dudes, trying to date grown men. They hella bougie, all about the money. It's all about the bag. It's all about being able to go to the nicest, nightclubs and the bar. Everything got to be expensive. The lifestyle is just hella expensive, but it's hella bougie and it's hella fake. So but I didn't really grow up in that cloth. Like I just happened to be there. But I came to Ohio and I was like, yeah, I need me a small town joint. You know what I mean? Like a small town. I met my wife probably like a month or two into like when school started. And I was like, ain't nobody, she don't look broke. You know what I mean? We was cool, made friends, and I was like, oh, that's me right there. I'm on it. Um, but then obviously I've been in Ohio for a little bit now. So now, I've been able to learn Ohio. I've been able to learn the people, like even my wife's family. I have family, like I moved out here and realized that I have actually blood family out here. Um, and I like Ohio. I'm more of a country boy anyway. Like the city life for me, like it's cool, but it's super played out. Like I'm a builder. I have to use my hands. I'd rather be in nature. I'd rather be kayaking or fucking hiking or stuff like that. Really, then I can do both. But like fishing, stuff like that. I'm like one generation removed. Like my dad, all he does is fish. My granddad, fishing. He was a gardener. He fixing everything. So I don't come from really like I've transitioned. Like now I can do the media stuff. I can do like the TV stuff. I can do the entertainment stuff, the administrative work. But what fulfills me, being out in nature. What fulfills me is really using my hands, uh, stuff like that. So that's why I really rock with Ohio. But the ignorance, the slowness, it humbles me because, well, let's say it grounds me. I've become grounded in Ohio. Uh, because like it's one thing to be smart, it's one thing to be like intuitive, but then it's like another thing when you have to like try to catch people up or educate people. It's hard. Can Ohio patients grow a few plants for personal use only? 3 4 plants, personal use only, correct? The thing about the laws are very vague, right? The laws are very like when it comes to like there's a lot of loopholes. So in Ohio, I am not a lawyer, so none of this information like but I know people personally that grow here in Ohio. Um, and I know people that grow a couple plants. I know people that grow 20, 30 plants. Um, it's Ohio. You know what I mean? There's a lot of weed floating around Ohio. Uh, oh, I forgot I'm doing the recording. But it's one of those things like people have been growing weed in Ohio. So right now, no, technically you can't really grow weed in Ohio based on the laws that we have for our medical program. But I mean, who's gonna stop you from growing is this is my thing. Like if you live in the suburbs and you have a garage and you have solar panels on your house and you have ventilation and you have tents and you have uh you already have a lot of electrical equipment. We got TVs, we got lights, we got vacuums, we got refrigerators. People have multiple refrigerators, people have multiple freezers, people have AC units. Like, unless you're truly hot, I don't really see how they gonna know. Now, if you got the trap jumping and people just going in and out of the crib, people doing pickups, people coming in the garage with a car, leaving. you might become suspicious. But if your neighborhood seemed pretty cool, like my neighborhood, I could probably get away with it. My neighborhood, quiet. I'm in the city of Columbus. We ducked off though. We on the side back road, like no lights on the street. Pretty much, older folks live in the community. It's probably somebody trap jumping right now in my neighborhood. It ain't me though. I stick to the rules as best as I can because I gotta do what I gotta do. I mean, the only reason I've even been talking about cannabis really is because I got my license. Before I got my license, I wasn't even talking about it publicly. Um, Let me switch over to the Zoom. I'm putting all this. I'm putting all this on Zoom too. So if you're on YouTube watching this, I've been talking to the folks on the Instagram live. But I'm about to share my screen with you all so we can go over these current updates in the Ohio Cannabis Program. So my girl Cannabis was in here too. Let me see if she's still in here. You at work? So let's see. Updates. So the Ohio official resource for medical marijuana control program. And this is also the problem I have with our program. How are you going to be the official medical marijuana resource? You don't have no videos. You don't have no content. You don't have no educational platforms. Oh, back on the clock. You don't have no education. No education. Like we should be able to go to the Ohio medical marijuana.ohio.gov website as medical patients and be able to be educated on what is going on in this program. What cannabis, what is THC? What's the endocannabinoid system? What? Like we need to have all the they're getting all this money from the program and I haven't seen no updates besides these little updates they do for news. All right, so I'm sharing. Sorry, I had to go on that little rant right there, but I'll be fed up. I don't see what like it irks me in Ohio that people don't be wanting to go off. Like, nah, this shit is wrong. It's wrong. Watch out. I'm glad I can be enough entertainment for you to get you through. Shout out to all of our RNs and all of our nurses, all of our essential workers. Shout out to y'all. You know what I mean? Definitely shout out to y'all. Um, Shout out to all of the nurses that know about cannabis and that are, threading, on that fence and threading that line, got to get that paper, but also got to understand that this is medicine. This is healthcare. Our healthcare industry needs a huge disruption. You know, the healthcare industry is one of the, industries that hasn't really, it's been disrupted, but it hasn't been like flipped on its head. Cannabis is the thing that could really flip the current Western medicine on its head. You know what I mean? And that's another reason why we're struggling in this fight right now with legalization is because we have a lot of forces against us. You have to understand there's whole doctor organizations against us right now. There are whole like organizations that have millions of dollars to just put towards lobbying and lawyers and consultants that'll pay to travel people to the main states to fight some of these things. So, when we think about what's going on, like the reason the fight is so difficult from a citizen's perspective is because there's a lot of things that are against us. And the pharmaceutical industry, you got to think the alcohol industry, they're spending big bucks, you know what I mean, to fight certain things. So they could study it, they could research it, come up with products so they could be first to market, right? So we got to understand that as patients, as consumers, as just individuals. This is a much bigger fight, much bigger battle, but that's why we have to come together. Even if you work for an organization, like it's time for more whistleblowers. Some of these organizations are corrupt. It's time for them to go down. You know what I mean? Some of these organizations not even paying y'all enough to be holding the secrets that y'all hold. You know what I mean? Like, how you know secrets and they still paying you pennies on the dollar to hold these secrets. Oh, we trained you, we pay you. You know, you living paycheck to paycheck. You ain't really getting no bonuses. We ain't really enhancing your status. You know, most people never gonna make it up to senior level management or executive level management. You know what I mean? So, you know, you protecting people that, you know, don't give a damn about you. As soon as that AI robot comes to replace you, you out of there. All right. So updated news for the Ohio Medical Marijuana Program. You know, thanks to everybody who's been supporting us, following us. Yes, the endocannabinoid system. So June 1st, 2023, the Board of Pharmacy awards dispensary certificate of operation in Piqua. Piqua. I hope I said that right. The State of Ohio Board of Pharmacy today awarded dispensary certificate of operation to Ohio Cannabis Company located at 8866 North County Road, 25A, Piqua, Ohio. Um, so that's another dispensary open. They're supposed to have what, 123 by something. So Board of Pharmacy published updated patient and caregiver numbers for April 2023. They posted this June 1st, 2023. So 733,544 thousand recommendations for cannabis. Only 362,980 registered patients. So that's like what, half? So you have 733,000 recommendations, but only 362,000 registered patients. So people have been recommended cannabis by a doctor, but only half of those people have actually registered. There is a $50 registration fee, right, with our program. Pharma corporations induce additional health problems. Of course, yeah. Like our insurance should be able to pay for our cannabis, you know, here in Ohio. But yeah, you know, the big pharma companies, man, like, so this is one of my things, like coming out of college with a healthcare administration degree. I tried out for the NFL, got cut. So then it's like, all right, what you gonna do with your degree? So the reason I got in healthcare, because I was like, healthcare is always gonna be around. Like, I know there's big money in healthcare. I know I could always go back and get my master's, get my PhD, whatever, whatever, whatever. I worked in the care or worked in a dermatology office under the manager, saw that, oh, this dermatology office is bringing in 1 million plus a year, like in Athens, Ohio. So I'm like, damn, like I'm looking at the books. I'm like, damn. Then I'm seeing like all the older white people coming in for, you know, melanoma treatments, skin cancer treatments. You know, obviously you have acne is big. You got all these just different things. And they did, you know, surgeries as well. So I'm like, damn, like, so now obviously you think about healthcare. So now, or you think about hospitals. So now I was thinking about pharmaceutical sales. But while I'm doing this, we have pharmaceutical sales reps coming into the dermatology office. And I'm like, you know, every time a pharmaceutical sales rep comes in, they bring lunch or something, butter up the, you know, the RNs and the whole staff trying to get you to, you know, promote their products. So then I'm like, damn, like if this is what pharmaceutical sales reps do, you know, yeah, they drive nice cars, but they're really selling, like a lot of these companies are selling like poison. They're selling death. I was like, I can't really, like, my conscience wouldn't allow me to do it because I was at the point where I had already lost teammates to opioid overdoses. I played football, so I seen, you know, just, you know, the ability or what opioids did to, you know, athletes and how easily accessible they were. Um, and so I just couldn't be a part of that. And so I had been consuming cannabis, and I was like, cannabis is perfect for me. Like, I don't really, besides any major injury, like I never consumed many of the opioids. I took a couple Toradol shots my senior year. I got Toradol shots right in my ankle. I had a high ankle sprain, a bunch of cortisone shots. You know, I had to take some opioids when I sprained my foot originally. You know, you take Tylenol and stuff like that, ibuprofen, you get a lot of that. But cannabis was always there. And so for me, like, once I got to that age, I was like, man, like I had to make a conscious effort and decision. I was like, nah, I can't do the medical sales. I could probably do medical equipment sales. I thought about that, but then I just went into Verizon. I did tech sales at Verizon. But it all becomes very bad, once you really see what's going on and what they're selling you, how much they're charging for what's actually going on, and what's the damage. Um, it's bad. The lack of education that we really get in the whole process of choosing which pharmaceutical you want to take or what you're going to take, it's maddening. But the pharmaceutical industry, man, a lot of these industries, man, are just raking in the dough. Big pharma, they get that insurance money. You go to the doctor, you give them that insurance money, psh, you good. But yeah, it's crazy to see that we have, almost, we're approaching a million. To think about it too, Ohio, y'all, the data is important. We have to understand numbers is important. Ohio has 11 plus million people in the state. We've had a legal program for 4 years now, I believe. What? Yeah, pretty much 4 years. The industry has been going. So to only have 733,544 recommendations, 362,980 actual registered patients is bonkers. It's sad. We have 21,719 patients with veteran status. You have 22,786 patients with indignant status. You have 1,316 patients with terminal diagnoses, 172,076 patients with both an active registration and an active recommendation. Huh? So there's only 172,076 patients with both an active registration and an active recommendation. Oh, that was just a total number. Wow. That's crazy. Y'all hear that? 172,076 patients with both an active registration and an active recommendation. 338,324 unique patients who have purchased medical marijuana as reported by the OARRS by licensed dispensaries, 35,114 registered caregivers. Pharmaceuticals leaves deposits in kidneys, livers, have severe consequences in middle age to senior age groups for sure. And I mean, alcohol as well. You know what I mean? Like liver cancer, liver disease, kidney disease, like all of these things, man, the cancers that are caused by these pharmaceuticals, the numbness that people are left with, the mental health illnesses and issues that people end up dealing with, the deteriorating bodies. Man, there's just so much that happens. That is, in Ohio, we have one of the worst healthcare systems in the country. We have one of the worst populations for healthcare in the country. Like people have to wake up. Like it's not easy living a healthy lifestyle in Ohio. For real. And I'm a healthy person. Like I'm somebody that I like to work out consistently. I like to take care of myself consistently. I like to go on walks, runs, bike, hike, whatever. But it's not really that easy. Like if you don't have access, like if I didn't have a car or access to a bike, like we live close to a trail, we live close to Hoover Dam, we live close to some of the metro parks, but then you get more inward to the city and you realize a lot of these people don't have access to nature like that. A lot of people don't have access to natural parks. A lot of people don't have access to healthy food options. You have people that are living in food deserts, which we have coined the term food apartheid recently because this has been done by government and corporations. It's not just on accident. Corporations have been operating and public policy have left communities struggling to have fresh food and produce. So if you don't have fresh food and produce, if you have factories in your community, if you have landfills in your community, all those things add to, disproportionate health conditions. On top of that, you think about, you know, the the um, the medicines going into the body. You think about tobacco. You think about dirty air. You think about the processed foods. You think about all of these things, and then a lot of these things take time. So it may not happen in the first 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but on the back end, 40, 50, 60. Coca-Cola. How much sugar is in Coca-Cola? But every grandparent house we go over, they got boxes of Coke, bottles of Coke. You know what I mean? We're giving it to the kids. You know what I mean? And that creates habits. And those habits are lifelong habits. You think about stress, anxiety, all those things play a role, man. Like, and it has to be urgent. You know, we have to be more urgent. There needs to be more urgency. So this is the program updates by the numbers. Cultivators, there are 23 level 1 provisional licenses. 20 provisional licenses have received certificates of operation. I'll go ahead and click on there for the YouTube viewers so you all can see what's going on. So these are the cultivator licenses. You can see here, these are all the cultivators. In Ohio right now, it shows you the level 2, level 1, shows you which city they're in, which county they're in. I think it's pretty, this is, the great stuff that needs to be seen. Also, these companies are hiring too, so if you're looking to get in the cannabis industry, I'd opted out of actually being involved in the cannabis industry, the corporate side. But if you're looking to get in, I'm sure there are people hiring. You got Fire Rock, Akron, you got Ascension Biomedical, Oberlin, you got Galenas LLC, Akron, you got FN Group Holdings, Ravina, Columbia Care, Mount Orab, you got Agra Med Ohio LLC, Ethos Cannabis, Langsville, Buckeye Relief LLC, East Lake, you got OPC Cultivation LLC, Huron, you got Grow Ohio LLC, East Fultonham, you got Hema Asim Wellness, Monroe, you got Cresco Labs, Ohio LLC, Yellow Springs, you got Ohio Clean Leaf, Dayton, you got Riviera Creek Holdings LLC, Youngstown, you got ATCPC of Ohio LLC, Akron, you got Ancient Root LLC, Wilmington, Pure Ohio Wellness LLC, Springfield, you got Standard Wellness Company LLC, Gibbonsonburg, you got Mothers Grow Best, Verano Holdings, Canton, you got Farkas Farms LLC, Grafton, you got PharmaCann Ohio LLC, Buckeye Lake, you got Pure Ohio LLC, East Palestine, you got Ohio Grown Therapies, Curaleaf, Johnstown, you got I don't know how to say this, OHI Grow, Jushi, Toledo, Certified Cultivators LLC, Dayton, you got Harvest Grows LLC, Ironton, you got Greenleaf Gardens, Anchorage Holdings, Middlesfield, Green Investment Partners LLC, Columbus, GTI Ohio LLC, Toledo, Pharmaceutical RX LLC, East Liverpool, Pharma Wellness Center LLC, Appalachian Farm Products, Jackson, Toradol, Ohio LLC, Can. What's up, B-Ski? Contaminated water and soil as well, numerous cancers, MS, and Parkinson's for sure. Yeah, I mean, you think about all the spills, you think about all the digging that's happened in Ohio, you think about all of the manufacturing that's been done in Ohio, cars, steel, everything, you know what I mean? Oil, like, West Virginia is right across the river, you know what I mean? So you see all the stuff going on, man. We got to protect our land, the waterways, the air, the soil. Paragon, so these are provisional licenses. Paragon Development Group, LLC, Tip City, Cleo Jordan, LLC, Euclid, Canamed, Cannabis, or Columbus, Right Green Technologies, LLC, Marion, FW Green Investments, LLC, Cincinnati. So those are all the cultivator licenses. Level 1. I said level 1, level 2. I think that might have been all of them. Dispensaries. So here's the dispensaries, 87 dispensaries. Let me go back. So 87 certificates of operations 45 active provisional dispensary licenses. So for dispensary names, we got Backroad Wellness, that's in Lima, Italian Herbs, Ashtabula, Harvest of Athens, Athens, Ohio, Verilife, Wapakoneta, that's in Wapakoneta. Uplift, that's in Mount Orb. You got Bloom Medicinals, 7 Mile, Consume Oxford, Pure Iconic Oxford, Shangri-La Dispensary, Monroe, Strawberry Fields, Monroe, The Forest, Springfield, Terrasana Labs, Springfield, Beyond, Hello, Cincinnati, Uplift, Milford, FRX Health, East Liverpool, Ohio Provisions, Coshocton, Story of Coshocton, Amplified, Cleveland Heights, The Botanist, Cleveland, Rise, Lakewood, Terrasana Labs, Garfield Heights, The Landing Dispensary, Cleveland. What's good, Nick? Just going over the numbers for YouTube right now. Uh, Nectar Medical Cannabis, Euclid, Theory Wellness, Sherwood, Bear River Dispensary, Delaware, Fireland Scientific Dispensary, Huron, The Forest, Sandusky, Ohio Provisions, Carroll, Amplified, Columbus, Bloom Medicinal, Columbus, Harvest of Columbus, Terrasana Labs, Columbus, The Botanist Labs, Columbus, Strawberry Fields, Columbus, Verdant Creations, Columbus, Harvest of Beaver Creek, Backroad Wellness, Cambridge, Nectar Medical Cannabis, Cincinnati, Sunnyside, Cincinnati, Verilife, Cincinnati, Zenleaf, Cincinnati, Verilife, Hillsborough, Strawberry Fields, Logan, Buckeye Botanicals, Jackson, Sunnyside, Wintersville, Ohio Valley Natural Relief, Wintersville, Bloom Medicinal, Painesville, INSA, Willoughby Hills, The Botanist, Wycliffe, Curaleaf, Newark, Sunnyside, Newark, Zenleaf, Newark, BAM Cannabis, Illyria, Rise, Lorraine, The Citizen by Clutch, Lorraine, Bloom Medicinal, Mommy, Wild Sky, Toledo, Pure Ohio Wellness, London, Greenleaf Therapy, Struthers, Leaf Relief, Youngstown, Sunnyside, Marion, Ohio Cannabis Company, Pequot, Green Relief, Dayton, Guaranteed Dispensary, Dayton, Pure Ohio Wellness, Dayton, Strawberry Fields, Dayton, Zenleaf, Dayton, Southern Ohio Botanicals, Waverly, Bliss, Ohio, Kent, Super Good, Ravina, Sunnyside, Chillicothe, Terrasana Labs, Fremont, The Botanist, Canton, Zenleaf, Canton, Bloom Medicinals, Akron, Curaleaf, Cuyahoga Falls, The Botanist, Akron, G-Leaf, Gleaf, Medical, Cannabis, Warren, Ratio, New Philadelphia, Ethos, Lebanon, The Landing Dispensary, Monroe, Strawberry Fields, Marietta, Zenleaf, Bowling Green, Nectar Medical Cannabis, Bowling Green, Ohio Cannabis Company, Harpster. So that's all of your 87 dispensaries and where they're located around the state. Also, if somebody from the state sees this and they want to pay me for this information or doing this, you know what I mean? Like I can be a consultant because this is what y'all should have on y'all page. It's what y'all should be doing. The state of Ohio. Physicians. I'm not going to read off all of these physicians, but I will click on it so people can see where the physicians are located. It took me to the State Medical Board of Ohio. That's also something that messes up our system is like the 3-tier where we got the Ohio Commerce, this Board of Pharmacy, and the Medical Board. How many millions is spent just to apply for Ohio dispensary license? Oh, so many. I mean, they made so much money off just the application process. My goodness. So these are all of the doctors that could recommend. Obviously, you guys can go to the website. I'll put the website in the description once I do the video, so you guys can go check this stuff out. So here's basically all the doctors that could recommend cannabis within the state of Ohio. I don't see many doctors like marketing or advertising. So I wonder how the doctors are getting the word out that they can recommend cannabis. I've heard a couple commercials on air, but I don't know. So we have 46 provisional licenses for processors. You got Grow Ohio, you got Standard Wellness, FN Group Holdings, Buckeye Relief, Green Investment Partners, One Origin, Schottenstein, Standard Farms, OPC Processing, Corsa Verde, Benaleaves Limited, ATCPC, Mother Grows Best, Purpose Leaf, AYR Wellness, Solomon Cultivation Corporation, Appalachian Farms, Processing, Greenleaf Therapeutics, Main Street Health, GTI Ohio, Pure Ohio, Ohio Grown Therapy, Certified Cultivators, Pure Ohio Wellness, Diamond Science LLC, Ancient Roots LLC, Innovative Healing Solutions LLC, PharmCan Ohio LLC, Nora Labs, Real Growth Investments, Cresco Labs Ohio, North Coast Therapeutics, NMG Ohio P1, Franklin Bioscience, MC2P, Pharmaceutical RX, Canna Ascend Ohio Processing, Revere Creek Holdings, Quest Wellness Ohio, Maturian Pharma, Fire Rock Processing, Harvest Processing, Ohio Grain Systems, Strive Wellness of Ohio, Ohio Processing Plant, Canna Med Therapeutics, and Cilio Processing. Also, let us know what's your favorite, if you are a medical program or if you're a medical patient in Ohio. Let us know what your favorite products are, your favorite medicines are, your favorite processor, your favorite cultivator, your favorite dispensary. Let us know. We're thinking about hosting maybe an award show one of these days, and for the industry, so we can give out patient. This is what the patients say, right? Maybe that'll make the cultivators and dispensaries work a little bit harder if they see that they're being held accountable, right? Who got the best strain? Who got the best terp strain? Who got the best indica? Who got the best sativa? Who got the best hybrid? Who got the best concentrate? Stuff like that. So let us know if Galenas has more medical benefits personally. Yeah, we've heard a lot of good things about Galenas. I've had a Galenas a couple times. How many millions as well? So yeah, definitely heard a lot of great things about Galenas and their practices. And I think that's important too, right? Like understanding the practices and which of these companies are just trying to go for the money and which people are actually trying to create, you know, um, products for the community and for the patients that is authentic, right? Like when you're growing a plant, all right, who's actually growing organic? You know what I mean? Like we've heard that, some of these people have been zapping their plants, right? They've been zapping the medicine, right? And that's why there's not a lot of transparency about what's going on in the industry because there's a lot of hiding going on, right? If you have to be more transparent, you got to show people your process. It's a little bit harder to conceal certain things. You know what I mean? So that's why a lot of things have been concealed in our program and there's been a lack of accountability, right? We've had CEOs from corporations in the Ohio program that have come on this channel and talked. Again, we're not paid for, we're not bought. Nobody is paying me anything. This is not paid advertising. I haven't received a check, a dollar from not one corporate entity in this program. So there is no real bias when it comes from me. I don't work for any of these companies, so I don't have any incentives to really lie or to support them. You know what I mean? So for me, it's truly a citizen and patient base. It's also an entrepreneurial side of things. It's also like being a reporter, right? Being a journalist. I'm just being a journalist and showing what's already out there. The information's already out there a lot of times. It's up to us to do some of the digging sometimes. So back to the numbers, I just did the processors testing, 10 provisional licenses for testing. You got North Coast Testing Labs, ACT Laboratories, One Bond, CP Labs, Priority Labs, Midway Labs, Pinnacle Testing and Specialty Labs, SV Labs, Battelle, Central State University Testing Laboratory. And then we got the numbers, the sales figures as of 5/29/2023. You got 168,045 pounds of plant materials, 15,622,312 units of manufactured product. You have $1 billion in 1.33 billion in product sales. You have 10,424,872 total receipts. You have plant sales averaging $18.55 per 1/10 OZ. You have plant sales averaging $6.55 per gram. Manufactured sales average $31.11 per unit. Um, Here's the product data. So it shows you capsules sold. It shows edibles sold, topicals, lotions, creams sold, oils solid for vape sold, oils oral sold, topicals, ointments sold, tinctures sold, patches sold, sublingual sold, plant material sold, total sales. So you guys could check this out on your own. The spreadsheet is pretty dense. We just really wanted to show y'all. All this information is online. You know what I mean? Keep the people accountable for sure, for sure. So this just shows you the historical data, right? So our program, the first data set comes from April 30th, 2019. So yeah, we've been literally for 4 years. Um, so the first numbers from the program was 673 pounds of plant material, 5.2 million in product sales, 2,544 units of manufactured products sold. That was the first one. That's crazy. 4 years ago. And they all the way up to a billion. So, there's clearly a need, right? There's clearly a need for it. There's clearly a want for it. The state is clearly making money from it. People are, I mean, it's economic development, jobs, healthcare. Like, come on. Like, if you're a politician, how could you be against this? How could you literally be in your community saying cannabis is bad when cannabis is literally printing money? Cannabis is hiring people. Cannabis is helping people with health ailments and illnesses. I don't see the problem. I don't see the, I don't see the problem. All right, so that's all the news and updates I got for y'all right now. Let me see. So this is just talking about the Board of Pharmacy certificates of operations. I've already read those with the program updates. So, slowly but surely, Ohio is coming along. I'll go to marijuana moment and see if they have any updates. Also, let us know what are some of your go-to cannabis news sources. I like Marijuana Moment. I use Twitter a lot. YouTube's a great resource as well. Nevada Assembly Committee approved Senate passed bill to create psychedelics working group. Colorado governor signs bill to allow online marijuana sales. Hunter Biden's attorneys cite marijuana and gun ruling to deter charges on alleged federal form lying, reports say. California Assembly approves bill to legalize marijuana cafes. That's dope. Colorado governor signs bill bolstering marijuana related protections for working professionals. New Jersey regulations will exclusively accept certain marijuana licenses from social equity applicants for 1 year. Rhode Island launches online medical marijuana. Here's how Missouri spends its legal. California Senate bill to stop employers from asking about past marijuana use. A partisan bill would fund psychedelics research for military service members with 75 million in grants. Florida marijuana legalization initiative has enough signatures for 2024 ballot, state officials say. Breath testing is not yet a reliable indicator of recent marijuana use, federal studies find. Federal agency announces 1.5 million in funding for research on psychedelics to treat drug addiction. Marijuana. So we can only put 1.5 million towards this, but then we send in billions over to Ukraine. Make it make sense. Marijuana is associated with significant and sustained health improvements, American Medical Association study finds. Not affordable for patients though. Yes, our cannabis program isn't affordable. The fact that you have to do so much research on sales and X, Y, and Z, like, but that's why home grow is important. Again, the poverty level in Ohio is high too. People living paycheck to paycheck. Um, you know, different living situations. There's a lot going on. People being laid off. There's a lot of situations going on. So I'll read this article. The use of medical marijuana is associated with significant improvements in quality of life for people with conditions like chronic pain and insomnia, and those effects are largely sustained over time, according to the new study published by the American Medical Association, AMA. Researchers carried out a retrospective case series analysis that involved 3,148 people in Australia who were prescribed medical cannabis for the treatment of certain eligible conditions. For all eight well-being indicators that were tested, marijuana appeared to help with adverse side effects that were rarely serious, according to the study published last week in the Journal of American Medical Association Health Policy. Patients were asked to rate their wellness in 8 categories on a scale of 1 to 100 at different stages of treatment. Those categories were general health, bodily pain, physical functioning, physical role limitations, mental health, emotional role limitations, social functioning, and vitality. After administering the survey to the patients about once every 45 days for a total of 15 follow-ups, the study found that participants who were consuming cannabis reported average improvements of 6.6 to 18.31 points on the 100-point scale, depending on the category. These findings suggest that medical cannabis treatment may be associated with improvements in health-related quality of life among patients with a range of health conditions. The researchers from the Swinburne University of Technology, University of Western Australia, and Austin Hospital wrote, patients using medical cannabis reported improvements in health-related quality, blah, blah, blah. The most common conditions for which marijuana was prescribed were non-cancer chronic pain, 68.6%, cancer-related pain, 6.0%, insomnia, 4.8%, and anxiety, 4.2%. The use of cannabis as a medicine is becoming increasingly prevalent, the study says, given the diverse range of conditions being treated with medical cannabis, as well as the vast array of products and dose forms available. Clinical evidence incorporating patients' reported outcomes may vary or may help determine safety and efficacy. The doses, methods of consumption, and cannabinoid profiles of marijuana products that patients use varied significantly. Even so, the estimated treatment effects were very similar. The researchers said that the retrospective case series analysis is limited by the fact that there was not a control, making it more difficult to generalize the results. This study suggests a favorable association between medical cannabis treatment and quality of life among patients with a diverse range of conditions it concludes. However, clinical evidence for cannabinoid efficacy remains limited and further high quality trials are required. This is just the latest in a long list of studies supporting the therapeutic potential of marijuana as more states and countries move to reform their legal cannabis laws. For example, another study from the University of Colorado found the consistent marijuana use and associated with improved cognitive and reduced pain among cancer patients and people receiving chemotherapy. A separate AMA study that was released earlier this year found that chronic pain patients who received medical cannabis for longer than a month saw a significant reduction in prescribed opioids. AMA also published research late last year that connected state cannabis legalization with reduced opioid prescribing for certain cancer patients. Numerous studies have linked cannabis legalization and self-reported marijuana use to reduce opioid prescribing and overdose deaths. State level marijuana legalization is also associated with notable reduction in prescribing of specific opioid codeine, according to another recent study that leverages data from the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA. That article is Marijuana Moment by Kyle Yeager. What's good? Halloween Holly, Ohio Garden. What y'all up to? What's good? So, obviously the studies and the research obviously help, prove everybody's case who's not a doctor or a researcher or a scientist or, We've been saying that for a long time, but we need the research. We need the data. No, we really don't. I'm telling you from personal experience. Let's see. NBA clarifies players won't be able to promote marijuana brands, but league will allow passive investments in testing. Well, since Ohio has an NBA team, I guess we could read this article. The National Basketball Association NBA players will not be able to promote marijuana companies under new collective bargaining agreement. Contrary to an earlier report about the deal with the players union, a new summary document shows but the league will remove drug testing requirements for THC while allowing players to passively invest in the industry. The document stipulates that while players may promote a company that makes products containing CBD, they will continue to be prohibited from promoting marijuana companies. In other words, don't expect to see Kevin Durant coming out with his own line of intoxicating cannabis products anytime soon, or for players to otherwise be publicly endorsing marijuana brands. That said, other details that were previously reported do check out. According to the key deal points memo that summarizes the collective bargaining agreement (CBA), that's the still being fully drafted. The document was first reported earlier on Wednesday by SF Gate under the CBA that is set to go into effect on July 1st. Players can invest in CBD companies without specific restrictions, and they may also hold passive, non-controlling interest in a company that makes products containing marijuana. Arguably, the most meaningful change in the league's policy is the removal of marijuana drug testing requirements. Marijuana will be removed from the prohibited substances list, and the deal points paper says. However, it clarifies that the team that has a reason to believe one of its players is under the influence of marijuana while engaging in NBA or team-related activities or has a dependency issue involving marijuana may refer the player to treatment program. That is, players are free to consume cannabis legally off the court, but they remain barred from using marijuana at games or other team-related events like press conferences. The NBA and its teams may impose reasonable discipline on players who are under the influence while engaged in any team activity or in violation of the law, the document says. This reform will formally codify what has been the league's decision to temporarily suspend cannabis testing for the past 3 seasons. Marijuana icon and NBA commentator Snoop Dogg recently weighed in on the policy change, applauding the league for taking steps that would allow players to use cannabis for medical purposes, including as a potential opioid alternative. Michael Roberts, a one-time head of the National Basketball Players Association, NBPA, who also joined the board of the major cannabis company Cresco Labs in 2020, previously predicted that a formal change to codify the policy could come soon. In 2021, it was announced that the online marijuana marketplace Weedmaps is teaming up with NBA star Kevin Durant for a multi-year partnership that's aimed at destigmatizing. Sorry about that. At destigmatizing. Where was I? I lost my page. Destigmatizing cannabis and showcasing the plant's potential value for athlete wellness and recovery. Sorry about that. My phone had a notification. A growing number of professional leagues have taken steps to enact marijuana policy reforms as more states have moved to legalize cannabis. Nevada sports regulators recently voted to send a proposed regulatory amendment to the government that would formally protect athletes from being penalized over using or processing marijuana in compliance with the state law. The Chicago Cubs recently became the first major marijuana, the most MLB team to officially partner with the CBD company, which follows the National Organization's league-wide partnership with the popular CBD brand last year. MLB has stood out among the professional sports leagues as more willing to respond to the changing marijuana policy landscape. For example, it clarified in a memo in 2020 that the players will not be punished for using cannabis. While they aren't working, they can't be personally sponsored by a marijuana company or hold investments in the industry. UFC announced in 2021 that they would no longer be punishing fighters over a positive marijuana test. Separately, student athletes that are part of the NCAA would no longer automatically lose their eligibility to play following a positive marijuana test under the rules that were recommended by the key committee last year. The National Football League NFL drug testing policy already changed demonstrably in 2020 as part of the collective bargaining agreement. Is that it? So here is the collective bargaining agreement. So key unchanged. Let's see. Key unchanged elements: the players' share basketball related income will remain within the band of 49 to 51%, currently 51%. The soft salary cap system, whereby teams are permitted to exceed the salary cap using salary cap exceptions, will continue. Let's see. Let's see. Seeing if I could find where they actually talk about it in the uh, other changes, more flexible stretch rules, roster flexibility, negotiation players, business opportunities, players association, private equity funds, NBA teams, investment, independent team. All right, so here it is: emerging markets, sports betting, cannabis investment. A player may invest in a company that makes products containing CBD. A player may also hold a passive, non-controlling interest in a company that makes products containing marijuana. Promotion: players will continue to be prohibited from promoting marijuana companies, but a player may promote a company that makes products containing CBD. Like what? And what it do? Rodney, there's more data out there on cannabis than any other plant. Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing too. There needs to be people bringing this data to the light, right? There's tons of like peer reviews and like a lot of the average person doesn't know where to look for like a college paper, right? Or a study or the data. So it's up to the people that do know to bring this information to light. You know, I think that's one of the most, that's why we do the Ohio Cannabis Report. Like, it's really just to educate people. Like, you have to do the research. You have to understand what's going on. Like, why are there certain regulations? Why are, you know, like the average person just got to know why. Like, and I get it. A lot of people in business don't really like competition. And that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, the reason these cannabis companies are fighting so hard is because they know they can't compete with the gray market. They know they can't compete with the legacy market. So we have to control and monopolize as much as we can right now, because as soon as the floodgates become open, there's going to be a shop on every corner. There's going to be a cannabis cafe or lounge on every block. Everybody going to be selling dope. Everybody already selling dope. People going up to Michigan buying pounds and bringing it back. You know what I mean? Like, come on, there's pounds in the mail right now. Like, we got to understand what's really going on. So a lot of these cannabis companies, especially in the legal medical industry, they're afraid. They're trying to corner their piece of the market. Um, you know, we got to understand, like, most of these corporate companies, they have their culture sucks. There's a reason a lot of these corporate cultures try to bring in like hip hop artists, right? You got what? Wiz Khalifa is with what? Cresco, I think, or whoever he's with. You got obviously Cookies and Burner, you know what I mean? And he got a whole roster of folks, but it's a reason like people try to, get people to be culturally relevant. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to, like, you can't fake culture. And that's why a lot of these companies are struggling, because the companies are doing marketing and advertising, trying to be woke or trying to get more Black people to be more diverse and equitable. But then when you look under the hood, you look at their executives, no black people. You look at their high level managers, no black people. You look at the cannabis industry, barely any black people own anything. Harvest of Ohio, black female owned, fully vertically integrated. I think one of the dispensaries that just opened might be a black family as well. But when you look at opportunities and it's like, well, barriers to entry, who could really afford to get into the THC game? CBD is different. But if you're trying to get into the THC game, like it's damn near impossible. If you don't have a private equity fund behind you, if you don't have lawyers behind you, if you don't have lobbyists behind you, and the politicians behind you, so the average person can't compete. But these large corporations are struggling to compete because their culture sucks. You know what I mean? Like they can't sell the weed. A lot of these companies can't even sell the weed on their shelves. Like these dispensaries is not selling weed. And that's why we don't hear a lot of conversation from these cultivators or the dispensaries or the people working in the industry. They ain't like, yeah, y'all selling, y'all done sold what, $1.3 billion worth of product in 4 years, but it's still like product on the shelves. You know what I mean? Like the Reddit, shoot, we'll go to Reddit right now. The Reddit chat on the cannabis, they be eating the program up. People think we be bad on here on Instagram. Man, people be on Reddit. Let me see. I think it's Ohio. Nora, Midwest Canada Women, and Harvest. Yeah. Well, Nora Labs, yes. So Nora Labs is a processor. Midwest Canada Women is more of like a consulting company. And the founder of Midwest Canada Women, Allie, she puts on events. I think she consults and does other things, but she also works with Nora Labs. So that's basically like the same person. Nora Labs is Nikki, Nicole, and her sister and their family runs Nora Labs out of Dayton. Um, but yeah, and I mean, as a black man, like, so I can only speak from my viewpoint, right? Like my perspective, like I don't try to put my perspective on anybody else. But as an educated black person in white American system, right? I went to private schools, I went to a PWI. You learn about business, you learn about all of this stuff. And it's like, well, shit, like my network, like I got a few NFL homies, but again, they can't invest in weed, right? I got a few NBA homies, they can't really invest in weed. I know some people, but like the amount of money that you have to be able to put up, and then you got to be able to do construction. You know what I mean? Like it's the barriers to entry. But I could turn my house into the trap spot. You know what I mean? Like I could be moving packs out the crib. Easy. Easy. Let me see. I can't wait until one of these bills passes so we can start a grassroots organization for people by the people, home grows for win, for show, so we can stop supporting these corporate hacks. 100%. I'm gonna pin that one. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much too that can be done with like the nonprofit industry when it comes to cannabis. And I feel like there's just, I mean, even now, like I feel like we could donate weed, right? There's nothing really in the laws that says you can't donate. It's a donation. You know what I mean? Like I give you a zip, you gave me a donation. That donation goes towards education, right? That donation goes for, if anybody want to donate to me, right, for doing what we do, uh, Cash App, G13 Ventures. I've been working on a PayPal. I need to get the PayPal up and running, or not the PayPal, the Patreon. I need to get a Patreon up and running. I got it going, but I got to make it live. Um, what are some good levels? Like if I did a Patreon, what would y'all like to see from the Patreon? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, Instagram. You can let me know as well. But what are some good things that you guys would want for like the different levels on a Patreon, like to pay? So obviously, like we could do exclusive content, we could do exclusive events, we could do exclusive giveaways, maybe come up with some exclusive merch, exclusive like events, exclusive content. Um, but just something, like I do this out the kindness of my heart, honestly. Like I said, there's no marketing, there's no promotion. We're not being paid by anybody in the program. There's no companies forcing me to do this. I don't see a lot of people from the industry doing what we're doing or doing, what I do. So shout out to Ohio Cannabis Live, my guy Mastermind Anthony. He does some great work. If you're not following Anthony, be sure to follow Ohio Cannabis Live. He actually drives to a lot of dispensaries and does great video content. I mean, he got a drone. He got, he go to the media days. Like me, like I don't go to none of the media days. Like I don't like being a media personality, honestly. Like the only reason I did this is because I was tired of people not doing it. That's literally the only reason I'm doing this because I was tired of people not talking. You know what I mean? I don't really like, I can talk. I don't really like to because I'm gonna go off. I'm a rant. Like I'm more like a Kanye. I know people have their things about, but I live in reality. Okay. Like this shit is fucked up. And I'm not afraid to say that. My wife can do the whole like acting. I've been an actor too. I know how to act. I've been an entertainer, but I don't like putting on the show anymore. I don't like being in the circus. You know what I mean? So I'd rather be, raw and real. And that's how it is. If you don't like it, you can unfollow, you can unsubscribe, you could do your own thing. You could talk shit about me, you could talk in the comments, just whatever. But I just think there needs to be more people talking because people need cannabis. We need cannabis. We need, America needs cannabis right now. Let me see if I can find this. What is the Ohio? If you in the comments, what's the Ohio Reddit group for MMJ? Usually I'm able to find it. Usually somebody gonna post it immediately. Let me see. Let me see. What y'all doing tonight? Ain't nobody partying tonight? I, I know I don't got no friends in this industry either because y'all don't be inviting me to smoke. Y'all don't be inviting me to the parties. It's okay though. No hard feelings. TNT extractions, what it do? Y'all go ahead and come in. I'll go ahead and bring some people on the live. I need to get my charger real quick or my stand so I can put the charger up. Ooh, need some water too. And I need to stretch. Woo! The old athlete problems, boy. I don't really encourage people. I need that weed. I need the weed, man. Oh, what y'all medicating on tonight, though? I had some. I'm gonna go get some of what I got. Show you. I had a Ohio clean we pick up. Nobody wants to live with me. It's okay. It's okay. I just left water. I got that water. What y'all want tonight? Anything fun happening in you all's world? Some of your months your face off. I can bust too. Like we're not supposed to have combustion in our face. I feel like it's just like a ritual. Like it's a ritualistic thing. Like, swimming, like holding up a joint, you know, passing the joint around. It's about community, man. Obviously, that's cannabis is not close to tobacco. Usually one like it's more low than this. I will host a party too. That could be a thing for the patient. Exclusive events, you know what I mean? Come to the crib, you know what I mean? Food or private jumps, low key. I'm a low key with that place. I like that low key. So this other grinder, like a really good grinder, that I had lost it over my legs. I was sorry to So one of the best ones in the world is having like their own space, your own crib, like we used to live in a townhouse. I used to feel kind of bad not doing that. Oh, Spider Man. I'm good, bro. I'm doing, man. How's it going? Hey, I know. Where you tuning in from? The Natty. Shout out to the Natty. I know, man. You and I both. I think everybody in the program, man. We knew it was gonna come down to this. You know what I mean? So, obviously they've gotten the signatures before, um, but we'll see. I like so high. What do you like? What do you like about the Bills, or don't like about it? Right, right, for sure. Right. Yeah, it's. I mean, that's why more people I think have to, because again, there's a huge, like Ohio. You have people that have money, so you have people that don't mind paying their money to say, oh, I'm buying legal weed, right, or I'm buying uh, so I think there's a huge issue with that, where we have people that are like, they don't mind affording the expensive weed. It makes them actually feel a certain type of way. But then you have those folks, like your average people that can't afford, you know what I mean, this don't want to afford it because then the weed's not even good. Like your true weed connoisseurs know like good weed, you know I think, you need more, whether it's boycotts or more people just outing this industry like as a fraud, because I think it's very fraudulent that 4 years ago we just popped up and like plants just popped up out of nowhere. But for sure. Well, shit. Right. Right. Yeah, there's already little micro systems already developed too. I mean, where have people been getting their weed from since before this industry, right? So, there's people still have a system, but we'd be able to be more out in the open about it, I think is, that's really what, people are afraid of, is being out in the open, in public about it. And that's just because, the way the society is, the protections. Um, but yeah, I think I mean, it's definitely needed. I think even now, like, shout out to Pothead Genius. I love what Pothead Genius is. Like, people have to be revolutionary. We have to, like, politics is reactive. You know what I mean? Like, politics usually comes along after things have already happened, right? Like, people were already smoking weed, and now the politics are like, oh, we're going to legalize cannabis. And it's like, well, no, this has already been going on for thousands of years. So it's up to the people, you know what I mean? It's up to us to be more creative. It's also up to us to be smarter, just start LLCs, nonprofits, and move in that way where, a donation, like what is a CBD shop? Like, you telling me that's not a dispensary for real? Right. Like, but
CBD thing cracks me up, anyways. I mean, the cannabis plant is the cannabis plant.
Right.
There really is no difference. It's just a lower, it's just a lower percentage of THC,
Right.
so they can meet their little guidelines.
Right. And I mean, that's the thing about me. I'm like, shoot, if I was a CBD company, I'd be lit. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be talking so much shit. You know what I mean? They allowed to have a weed leaf on their logo. Like, none of the legal medical programs can have a weed leaf in their logo. You know what I mean? So there's so many just different gray areas. You know what I mean? Obviously, Delta 8, Delta 9, all that stuff going on with the CBD shops. But, when you really break it down, it's like, we know everybody knows somebody on their block that's selling dope, that's got fire. Everybody knows somebody in their circle that got gas and it's not coming out of the program. You know what I mean? Like, I hit up one of my homie hit me up like, yo, you gotta come smell this. You gotta come taste this. I'm like, all right, nowhere close to the program. You know what I mean? But it's yeah. And Ohio's a big ass state. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing
Huge.
for, like it's probably so much weed coming from Michigan as we speak.
And it's been doing that before, the medical even kicked in.
Right. Right.
All that money just going to another state. It's crazy.
Right. They giving up so much money to the state of Michigan just because of their egos, and it's going to show in the football game.
Well, and that's the thing, you talk about the CBD. The thing is, the reason why it went the way it went with the Delta 8 and everything is because once they passed the bill that, hemp was no longer something to be targeted, the floodgates opened.
Mm-hmm.
And how Ohio state law is anyways, cannabis itself isn't illegal. THC is the controlled substance.
Right.
So if the government was to drop it down or just take it off of the Schedule 1 anyways,
yeah,
then no cannabis, it would be the Wild West. There'd be no legislation for it. Once it's off the controlled substance, you can do whatever you want.
Right. And I mean,
they ain't going to allow that to happen. They're going to go ahead and, go hash something out before then. But I think full legalization is probably maybe 5 years away anyways.
Yeah. I mean, the federal government is always going to take forever because there's so many hoops and hurdles. And that's why the federal government has given the power to the states. And that's why the citizens have to understand how powerful the state is. You know what I mean? Like, the Fed's not about to come in and shut nobody cannabis stuff down because ain't nobody, like, these cannabis companies have pounds of weed. And we haven't heard of any federal government shutting down anything of a legal weed company. So you got to think like, all right, how many trucks, how many vans are traveling the interstates with pounds of weed, unmarked vans and vehicles? You know what I mean? That's not being stopped, not being ticketed, crossing state lines that nobody knows about. So there's so many just different things. The average person is afraid of the law because they can't afford a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like the politicians are breaking more laws than anybody. You know what I mean? So once the people get aware that these laws are meant to control you, or they're meant, like, people break laws every fucking, like, all the time. You know what I mean? So like this whole cannabis thing now is like people are growing weed right now. People are selling weed. Like, even with the seeds, me and Broderick, my co-host, had talked about finding a breeder and like doing like a seed giveaway. You know what I mean? Because like they can't stop everybody. Like, if everybody started growing their own weed, what would they do? Like, the police aren't even, really getting involved in it anymore, So it's like, obviously you don't want to harm, children and things of that nature. But, when you talk about, all right, if somebody has a seed, that seed don't have no THC in it, people could grow their own weed. Like, I gave him a seed. That's up to him what he does with that seed in the privacy of his own home. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a criminal. Like, that's not criminal activity. Even if you growing, all right. Like, I'm a botanist. I like to grow plants. Like, I like to grow my medicine. I like to grow my food. It's illegal to grow food and produce.
And you can grow hemp seeds anyways. Nothing illegal about that. Nothing wrong with growing hemp seeds. Right. And an unjust law is no law at all.
Right. The game is over. Like people are still playing the game without
Yeah.
realizing that the game is literally over. Like the Speaker of the House in Ohio had a $60 million bribery scheme.
It's so ridiculous.
And folks just walk around like, oh, I'm afraid of this law. He had a $60 million bribery scheme. And everybody knew
Wow.
about it. Everybody still know, like, water under the bridge. And now our electricity bill's going up. You know what I mean? Like, come on. But we afraid to break some laws. We afraid to be a little disruptive. Americans. Come on, man. Like we pick and choose based on some real weird stuff, what we want to be, breaking laws about and what we don't.
Well, it's the typical politician. They got all the boomers. They've got them brainwashed from all the years of cannabis madness.
Oh
So
yeah.
they try to, you know what I mean? They try to push the laws to because they know they're voting base.
Yeah.
So they try to keep them. You know what I mean? It's all scare tactics. That conquer and divide BS.
Right. But that's why the younger generations have to get more involved in the political side. We're not really like I'm a millennial. I'm 33. But like when you look at, I would say like from my perspective, from like 50 down, you don't really see a huge political presence. You see more of us on social media, you see more of us like voicing our opinions, but it's like we could actually be more engaged and involved. When I watch, like I'll watch the Ohio channel and watch like the Ohio government, like in their inner workings when they're going talking about bills. Or I'll go on YouTube sometime and watch the city of Columbus, and you can see like how many people are watching that live. And it's like it'll be like 5 people, and it's like we have to understand like everything is open to the public. The government works for the people. So we are allowed to see everything. We're allowed to know everything. We're allowed to see what's happening on the agenda. We're allowed to see where the money is going and how the money is being spent. We're allowed to see these things and we're allowed to question them. And if we don't, then that's why we're being pimped, because you have corporations that are doing a lot of the talking. So if you work for a corporation, most likely that corporation is doing a lot of talking for the person. And you may not agree with your corporation and what they really are doing, but they're paying you enough money to keep you quiet and keep you busy. So you don't see their lobbyists, saying, hey, we don't want to have to pay our employees any more money in minimum wage. Like, that's going to dig into my pockets as a CEO. Like, why would I want to pay my employees more money? So then I have to live around them. I can't take as many vacations. I can't send my kids to private school. I can't, buy my wife luxurious items. That's what's happening. But the average people have to understand that, because you can take advantage being a business. Like once you learn the business, it's just like being a citizen. Once you learn the game, it's like, all right, yeah, people abuse government assistance. Well, you don't think multimillionaires are abusing government subsidies and assistance? Like we don't think these tax abatements that these builders are getting to develop for economic development, but Intel probably won't have to pay taxes on the building in Columbus for like 100 years.
And if they try to change it, they'll threaten to take it up out of there.
Right. They'll just take it away.
They'll say we'll move it to another state.
Yeah. Well, somebody else wants this. You know what I mean? Like, so the people though have to understand, like, and that's what I like. People in Ohio, like the politics is different too. Obviously, if you got your farmers, you got your people in agriculture, you got your more city people. So there's a lot of differences. But when you look at like how people are getting got, I'm like in Ohio, like there's a $3 billion rainy day fund in Ohio. Like, what are they doing with it? There's $3 billion in a rainy day fund in Ohio.
But it never gets used. They're stealing out of it.
Right. Where they're not using it. And they're just like, people can't use that in Ohio. Like the roads, the bridges, the schooling, like the healthcare system, like the opioid crisis. Like you could give everybody in the state. I mean, we got 11 million people in the state. You can give everybody some money out of that 3 billion, and I think everybody in Ohio will be a little bit happier.
Right.
Like it's just
But
like
no,
little stuff.
they'd rather take that money and give it to some corporate subsidy instead of actually helping the people. They'll have the audacity to call it, a welfare program for the people, but they'll turn around and give it welfare for the corporation. It's
Mm-hmm.
all bought and paid for.
Yeah.
And then they just use the, social discord to divide everybody, keep them fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Check this
It's
out.
crazy.
So Ohio CPA. See, I mean, I talk about stuff, but I look it up too, so people don't think I'm just talking out of my ass. So this is on my Zoom too for YouTube. So Ohio Rainy Day Fund reaches historic high of nearly $3.5 billion. This was written on January 20th, 2023. The governor, Mike DeWine, announced Ohio's Rainy Day Fund has reached a balance never seen before in the fund's history and has a cash balance of $3.5 billion, nearly $3.5 billion. The Ohio Office of Budget and Management, OBM, Tuesday transferred $727 million into the fund to reach the historic number. The fund, which is a reserve balance set aside to protect the state budget from cyclical changes in revenues and expenses that may occur during poor economic times, is capped at 8.5% of the general revenue fund revenues. The transfer into the fund made Tuesday was authorized by the General Assembly in the 134 HB 45. The placement of this money in the budget stabilization fund is sound fiscal policy, said Senate President Matt Huffman, Republican from Lima. The release of several trillion dollars into the economy in the last 2 years will ultimately result in inflation. The state of Ohio must be prepared for the inevitable consequences. Raising taxes will not be the solution. Having this fund will allow the state to continue needed services. Taxpayers can rest assured knowing that the state of Ohio's budget is balanced and our conservative approach as fiscal management is providing strong returns. The transfer ensures our long-term stability and provides us with the ability to meet citizens' needs in times of future uncertainty, said Kimberly Murnix, or I don't know how to say that, but OBM Director and Chief Financial Officer of the state.
And the sad thing about all that is, what are they considering a rainy day? As far as I'm concerned, it's been raining for a long time.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you waiting for that rainy day to be a bailout to the banks or something? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Come on now.
Like it's a rainy day in Ohio. Like I don't know where they looking. They must be on High Street drunk. Cause everywhere I look in Ohio, like, and I be in some places, right? Or, again, this is the problem, right? A lot of our policymakers, they're in the Dublins, they're in the Upper Arlingtons, they're in the Bexleys, they're in the New Albanies, they're in the Westervilles, they're in all of these suburban communities where they're away from, what's really going on a lot of places. But yeah, I don't like I've been in Ohio. Like I'm not a true Ohioan. I tell people this all the time. I came here, I played ball at Ohio University. Um, I moved to Ohio a little bit, but I'm not from here. So like I'm still learning Ohio. I've been in Ohio. I came in 2008. That's when I started school. Left for a little bit, went back to DC, came back, but I've pretty much been here the whole time. So I'm a transplant. But yeah, like Ohio seems like a fucking rainy day to me.
Right.
I like people are hurting on all sides, like black, white, Hispanic, like it don't matter. Like I've been in the poor white communities, I've been in the poor black communities, I've been in the suburbs, I've been in the rural communities. My nonprofit is based in Springfield, Ohio. So I've been in Springfield, I've traveled the state for, playing at Ohio. We went to Bowling Green, we went to we've been all over the state, Akron, all these places. And it's just like, These places look fucking depressing to me.
Oh, you can't go nowhere damn near unless it's in a rich community and not see ran down houses, empty houses.
Right. I mean, vacant buildings, you know what I mean? Like it's the economy. I mean, seeing people on the streets, man, it's I mean the homelessness in a lot of these
Out of
cities.
control.
Yeah, obviously the opioid epidemic, the fentanyl shit, the violence. People are violent because of poverty. Like if people,
Right.
like, people used to say, well, all these young kids are stealing cars and they need like, no, they're in poverty. Having a car in America is a luxury. We don't have great public transportation in Ohio. So telling somebody, well, you need to get a job, well, all the high paying jobs are in the suburbs. So how am I supposed to get from the city to a high paying job on a bus that's going to take me on a route that's going to take me 3 hours just to get to that job? You know what I mean? So we have to really understand like we're not putting people in position to be successful. Then you look at all the data is showing that we're not putting people in position to be successful. You know what I mean? Like people, you can't say that people don't want to be successful in a place where clearly success is what people want. But you have to give people the resources, you have to give people the access to those resources, and the ability to want that. You know what I mean? You can't say, well, we're gonna put all these big time jobs in the suburbs, and then we're not even gonna associate with you with the suburbs. So when you do come to the suburbs, people aren't looking at you crazy because you're a black person in the suburb, but we know you can't afford to live here because we can just tell there's not many of you here. And it's like,
Yeah.
but I'm supposed to go make more money. Like inflation, like it's crazy. But people have to wake up. People have to understand like there's no real difference between the CEO and the janitor. The only real difference is either the CEO has had access from family, so typically nepotism, right? Typically, if you grow up, if your dad's a businessman, your grandfather's a businessman, your great grandfather's a businessman, your uncle's a businessman, you're going to be a businessman. You're going to have, you're going to understand how accounting works. You're going to understand how marketing works. You're going to understand how supply and demand works. You're going to understand how to read your balance sheet, your pro forma. You've been taught that for a long time. A janitor's been taught to clean, labor. What's the CEO do? Oh, I need this place clean. I hire a janitor. A janitor can work for $15 an hour. It's 10 some places, 7 for some places, right? So there's just a difference of mindset and what we've been taught and conditioned to do. CEOs
Well,
build teams.
it's all been designed to be this way, though,
Right.
too.
Yeah. Since inception, right? Like the American
Yeah.
inception was we have the haves. We're going to take these 10 people, these 5 men, however men there was, and we're going to divide up the country. You get this part of the country, you get this part of the country, you get this part of the country. It's all been the same. Corporations, you look at the corporations, we have 10 major corporations that own everything else. You look at the telecommunications company, you have AT&T, Verizon.
And all the politicians, it's out of sight, out of mind. Unfortunately, if it's not something that's directly affecting a person, it's hard for them to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they see it, even though it's brought up, when these politicians get in there, most of them are millionaires anyway. So how are they, how is this person supposed to understand your plight whenever he's so out of touch?
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of everything being bought and paid for, it's the scam. It's a great American scam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just like with what do you think the cannabis tax money's been spent on? I'd like to know what the fuck they've been doing with the tax money.
I mean, you and everybody else. That's one of the things. That's been one of the biggest things that I've been wanting to know. Because they're not showing it. I would have to say we may be able to find it in the budget, the Ohio State budget. But yeah, it's probably going to the rainy day fund.
Exactly. It's funny how it always just gets built up. You get these promises, oh, we're gonna put it into schools, we're gonna put it into that, but it never goes into it. Or for it to be such a small amount,
Mm-hmm.
it's just ridiculous. It never goes to where it's tended.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that can be done. You talk about recidivism, you talk about, helping people who've been incarcerated for marijuana, drug crimes, low offenses that, need their lives restored. We don't talk about it enough about how people's lives have literally been destroyed. If you get called a druggie or a dope dealer or a pothead, all these things, or then you get caught up in the game and then you get put in jail, especially if you come from a minority community, people give up on you. People like, yo, you're a failure. People like, you can't stay out of trouble. Whole time you was just trying to provide for your family. Whole time, like, you was really just trying to, be an American entrepreneur. Um, so there's so much that can be done with that money. That money can go into schools. We should be paying our teachers more. That money could go into healthcare, roads, bridges, so many more things. So I mean, Ohio's an old state too. I mean, you got a lot of these old folks that don't know what the fuck to do with this money. Like, there's a lot of money in Ohio and they don't know what the fuck to do.
They know how to keep it though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They know how to hoard. Ohio is good for hoarding.
Exactly.
So but I think there's also a generational gap, right? Like there is a huge, like you have your older generation and I feel like there's just a drop off. Like the boomers are fucking clutching their pearls. You know what I mean? They're like, fuck, we built this shit, we can't let it go to waste. All these little fuckers want to be doing TikToks, they want to be, you know fucking race mixing, they want to be it's a whole lot of shit going on. Their brains are fucking
Yeah,
up right now.
like the world's coming to an end.
Yeah, their world is,
Right.
they're retiring. Obviously you got COVID, you got all this shit happening, like
Right.
all this information's coming out now that we have the internet. So it's like, damn, like people thought shit was hidden, that's now being resurfaced. That's like, oh shit, grandma was a racist.
Yep.
Oh, like, so for me, it's hard. Like, I have a lot of white friends, but then it's like, yo, like, yeah, you could be cool with me, but you need to talk to your grandparents about what the fuck they was doing. Cause it's
And
guaranteed
they're
that it
one of
was.
and they're one of the strongest voting blocks there is right now. And it'll
Oh,
probably stay like that for at least another 7 years or so.
well, the thing is,
Uh,
they have time and they spend time on that shit. Like, so I've been a stay-at-home dad for the last 6 years. So I've been able to see how things move and orchestrate differently. So I go to the playground when I'm there with the stay-at-home moms. It's a fucking gang of moms. You know what I mean? Like they fucking party. I go to the fucking to we go to the mall. Five, older white women just power walking in the mall. I'm like, yeah, so they in church, they going to have brunch, they having breakfast, they having we go to the library. I see they ass at the library. What the fuck you think they talking about? Like, who you gonna vote for? What are these? We need to. So, it's and like they'll talk to my daughter, they'll a lot of times, like I always find it weird. Like people will be like, hi. I'd be like, don't you see me like here? And my kids are gangsters. Like my kids don't talk to nobody. We on code at all times. Like my daughter, like you look at my daughter, she's like, and so
but they're intimidated by you. They ain't gonna talk to you. They're too intimidated.
right.
You know.
And I talk to white, like I've like for me, like I just said I wrote a tweet that I was gonna start doing more social experiments and recording because I'm always like I'm in the suburbs, like I be places, and I'm just like, especially since I've grown my hair, like I've always been pretty clean cut, but I've been growing my hair, and so I've realized the one thing that I didn't recognize that was going to happen was that people stare. I've gotten way more compliments about my hair than I've ever gotten before, and white women, oh my god, I love your hair. It's like, but it's just like we have to have just these random like conversations. It's like we're human beings. It's okay. It's okay to have anxiety about not knowing if cannabis is going to bring more Black people to your community. Because I think that's the problem with like Upper Arlington, right? You have these jurisdictions that are against cannabis because they just assume like, oh, this weed is going to bring more violence to our community. This weed is going to bring more Black people into our community. Like, there's probably more white people using weed right now than Black people.
Yeah, but these are stories that's been told over and
Right.
over and over and get told over and over again. So
Repetitively.
it's
And they're the only ones talking. You know what I mean? Like all my white homies, I'm like, yo, I need y'all to talk. I need y'all to speak up. I need y'all to be more vocal. I need y'all to be more forward facing. I need y'all to be more in front of the camera because like I get a lot of my smoke from my white homies. You know what I mean? Like I was never in the fucking uh like carts and stuff like that, hash, resin, none of that stuff until like my white homie was just like, yo, you gotta have some of that, a fucking pipe or a glass or like get the fuck out of here. Give me some fucking flour. I'm gonna grind that shit up, put that joint in a fucking Relo. Obviously you don't smoke Relos no more. I'm a paper guy, but like, like that's what culturally, that's what we do. Like I roll up with my cousins. I'm not pulling out a fucking bong. I'm not pulling out a vaporizer. I'm not pulling out a torch. Maybe now I'll pull out a Puffco Peak or something like that. But we rolling a joint, we rolling a couple joints. It's just a difference. I go around my white homies, motherfuckers got a volcano. Motherfuckers got something crazy. You know what I mean? Like, but those cultural differences, you know what I mean? And like I sit in that because I'm like, I'm willing to go to my white homie's house because I know like first he's gonna have a lot of weed. He's gonna have some really good weed. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna
bust the gravity bong out on that ass.
right. Like gravity bong. Like I went to OU, like number one party school. Like me and my roommate bought a gas mask. You know what I mean? Like we sitting on Court Street fucking smoking out of a gas mask as college athletes.
And introduce you to a whole new reality.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, so, but it's like stuff that, a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know the different, forms of consumption, right? A lot of people just think that, you just gotta smoke it. It's like, no, there's tinctures, there's, rubs, there's all types of stuff. You know what I mean? So I think that's, obviously education is so important. And that's what we really try to use this platform for, is really to have that open conversation and just have more, dialogue around it, because it's like, yo, like people assume people doing weed are like out doing crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like it's like the weirdest, obviously, like you said, they've been sold this, obviously through, propaganda. But now we just
it's
need
hard to beat the news networks.
right.
It's hard to beat the news networks when they're spewing their fear tactics and everything. But once it opens up, and then we can start getting our little like lounges together, you know what I'm saying, with everybody and talking, there's going to be a whole bigger outreach. It's just we got to get past this one little drop.
Yeah.
Once we do, everything's going to open up, and they know it. I mean, hell, you can't let Kentucky pass us. We can't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on now. We're going to be in the middle of Kentucky and Michigan. Still waiting. This is ridiculous. I think it's going to pass in November if they don't go ahead and do something else. I don't think they honestly wanted to go to the ballot, so I think they're going to go ahead and do their own thing and put it in there. And once that opens, that's when I'm really going to reach out to the community. I want to make sure I get seeds in people's hands. We just got to start our own thing.
For sure.
And once we start doing our own Ohio community with the cannabis community,
right,
there'll be no limit to it. We can have our own little cannabis cups. And I would love to get on here and be able to see all of us growing and come on here, share our gardens, talking about. And that's the thing about it too. When you're in these dispensaries and you're talking on a medical level, you got to find a plant that works for you.
Right.
Everything ain't going to work for what your ailments are.
Exactly.
But if you can find that one that helps whatever your pain is or whatever your situation is, you can find that one that works for you. Then what better than to be able to grow that constantly for yourself and then grow a few other things to try out, but you can keep that.
Exactly.
This is going to help me to do sleep, back, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's
And
so
that,
specific.
and that's where we got to get to. And
Right.
I'm hoping that we're here soon with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, but once we get out, we might have to network. I mean, you're not too far from me. You're only a couple hour drive away from me, so.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, I don't have a problem networking. Like, I've been like networking. Like, here is very easy, but it's like for me, I've been ever since the cannabis industry. That's what I want to do. Like, I want to build the cannabis industry. So I don't really want to network in, like the tech industry is cool, but cannabis cuts through every industry. And I don't think people really realize that. Like,
Right.
cannabis is at the intersection of everything in our society. It's at the intersection of politics. It's at the intersection of religion. It's at the intersection of healthcare, men's and women, and children's healthcare. It's at the intersection of resources, right? Because we don't even talk about hemp, industrial hemp. That's cannabis. You know what I mean? So it comes to plastics, when it comes to automobiles, when it comes to all of these things. And so people get stuck on the like smoking and getting high and being and it's like it's even so much bigger. You know what I mean? Like,
But that goes back to what we was originally talking though. See, and then that's the problem. You got the fraction of people. Well, I'm going to say politicians that know it's a uniting factor, and they know cannabis brings people together who would never really have talked or maybe met before, and they fear that. They don't want that. And then you got big business. They don't want you. They don't want you making ethanol out of cannabis. They don't want you making bricks out of cannabis. They want to keep all that shit money in their pocket. They
right,
don't want, that's like another industry coming up. Cannabis can make so much things. Henry Ford used to make cars out of cannabis.
right.
So they look at that and they're like, we got to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that vicious cycle that we all keep going around in, and the politicians, they know how many people unite around cannabis of all walks of life. Like you said, you're gonna have your business person, you're gonna have your city person, you're gonna have your suburban person, country person, and all unite, and then ideals start mixing, and then people start realizing like, oh, you know what, these people ain't that bad, they're just like me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start getting a unity that they're afraid of.
Yep.
Then they start losing a little bit of that control and that power that they get. And it's sickening the way they
Right.
do it. But, they
Yes.
can't stop it. It's coming. They can't
Right.
stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, it's, you can see it happening more and more. Um, you know, Especially, your major cities, you see a lot more diversity, people coming together. People realize, like a lot of stuff is just, it's bullshit. Like, if somebody think differently than you, that's okay. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay. Like, this whole competition, I gotta be right. Like, no, how about we live a beautiful life together and create and build and try to uplift and encourage each other instead of always
Right.
kill. You know what I mean? Always destroy, always, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I'm with that mind. Like, and you can't be like, if you are somebody that's in the health and wellness space, or you're in the just life space, you understand like, you can't be toxic and want to live a long life. You know what I mean? Like, you
Right.
can't be a bad person and try to live a long life. Like, it just doesn't pan out. Or like shit is coming back to haunt people. You know what I mean? Like, you got all these
For sure.
multi-billionaires, and then you find out a few years after they die, all this crazy shit that happened behind the scenes. And you're like, oh, like, you don't want to be like that person. I
Right.
mean, like a lot of these, and that's why like I like being more transparent, because a lot of these business owners, you don't see them talking. You never see them talking. Why? You only see them talking about their business and what the numbers of the business are. You don't see their personal life. And a lot of that's on purpose. They don't want you to see that stuff, because then you start making decisions about, do you want to support that business based on this person?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, if you looked at all these major corporations, all right, look at what happened to L Brands with the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing once they found out, old boy was coming through Columbus, Ohio, living at Buddy Mansion. You know what I mean? Come on. it's all connected too. You know what I mean? So it's like, a lot of these executives, they get money, like, come on. Like if you go to Chase Bank with 50,000 or $1 million or $10 million, you think they're gonna turn you down for anything you say? Come on,
No,
man.
money's always king.
Come on, man. Like these people is they just playing the numbers game with each other. Like, oh, he asked for 50, I'll front him 50.
Right.
I'm trying to find if I could see where this cannabis money going. Cause they got like all the stuff, like Ohio, like you could find everything in the budget. You just gotta look.
And that's the part they love to do. They love to put it down in there and bury it.
Oh yeah, you got that's the thing. You got to do that research, man. But that's we also need organizations and community members to create like it's like almost like a Wikipedia or so, of sorts. You know what I mean? Like where people, because this is the important stuff. Like we could argue about sports, all the dumb shit. None of that matters. This matters. The $3 billion rainy day fund matters. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Because it affects us all. In the end,
right.
it affects us all.
Right. It affects everybody. It affects everybody's lifestyle. Like you got people stressed out because they can't afford certain things, rent. We don't even have enough housing in Ohio right now. There was a conversation going on the other day that said Ohio needs like 255,000 housing units. Like,
That's crazy. And they're out there. There's a bunch of abandoned shit. We
right.
can make it happen if we wanted to.
Right. I mean, there's a bunch of abandoned buildings that, corporate, because a lot of people are still working from home. So you could turn corporate buildings into apartments. Like, but, again,
Yeah, we
policy.
can burn all that.
Yeah. Like you look at downtown Columbus, I think, there's only a few thousand people living in downtown Columbus, but that's your main hub. Like we're the capital city and you only have a few thousand people living in your downtown. Like it's
Right.
dead. I can go down there right now on a Saturday and you go through once you get through Short North, it's dead. And now it might even be dead because they put a curfew out on 12 o'clock for Short North recently. But
Well, it's good. It's been good talking to you, brother. I got to jump up off here real
for
quick.
sure.
And
Hey, when you ready to hit them
yeah.
seeds, make sure you send some our way, man. We'll definitely push it.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get on here and talk about more topics when I got some more time and everything.
Bet I appreciate you hopping on, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Keep up with the good work too, bro.
Thank you. It means a lot.
All right.
Susie Stoner. She hopped off. Why my girl hop off on me like that? Where you at, Susie Stoner? I seen you. I'll make her come on. Oh, she on there. I'm still trying to find this money. 22 trillion for what? Personal income increased $80.1 billion in November 2022 to 22.2 trillion. What? What? I'm gonna get Susie on because she need to be practicing for these podcasts for the Courage and Cannabis book. Oh yeah, so shout out into no promotion for Courage and Cannabis, man. Courage and Cannabis book to the YouTube. Courage and Cannabis book. I will be a featured author in Courage and Cannabis. It'll be dropping sometime this summer, so be on the lookout for that. CourageandCannabis.com is the website. Book will be able to be purchased on Amazon. Uh, and so it's an anthology. So it's a group of authors. This book was put together by Dr. Bridget Williams. She is an Ohio cannabis recommending doctor, MD, great woman. If you haven't followed her, Dr. Bridget, she has her own CBD brand as well, and she's an author. And she brought all of these amazing authors together to talk about their cannabis stories. So it's people from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, um, and all different stories. So we've been doing podcasts and promoting the book. We just got word that the book is at the publisher, so should be dropping soon. So yeah, definitely getting excited for that. So check it out. There's a version. There's volume one out. This is volume two. Mike Tyson will be a featured writer in it as well, and his CEO for Tyson 2.0, Andrew Wilkes, I think is his name. Uh, Sorry if I'm butchering that, but he is the forward for the book as well. So Tyson 2.0. So yeah, man, I'm excited. This is my first book. I've always wanted to be an author. I was just waiting for the right move. You know what I mean? I was gonna write about my All American story being an athlete, but this was perfect being an All American story, an All American cannabis story. So, definitely looking forward to that, and definitely gonna write way more books after this. Took my virginity on the author side, so it's exciting stuff. So yeah, definitely wanted to push that. Let me go. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the website so y'all can see the Cannabis website. So this is the Courage and Cannabis website. So, courage is at the heart of these groundbreaking compilations of stories written by doctors, lawyers, patients, caregivers, entrepreneurs, and activists. Each story is unique and written with the hope of inspiring others. In these times, anyone that chooses cannabis or enters the industry has a story of courage. We hope that this book will help those that are looking for guidance and inspiration to join the cannabis community and pursue their dreams. Wow. So you have Courage and Cannabis, The Triumphant Stories, Volume 2, Courage and Cannabis, an anthology of inspiring stories written by heroes. So we'll explore the volume. In this edition, the authors share stories regarding addiction, trauma, diabetes, autism, brain injury, entrepreneurship, athletics, legacy stories, and much more. A new feature in this book are the sparks, which are short testimonies and quotes from cannabis voices in the industry. There are inspiring contributions from Ed Rosenthal, Jane West, Danielle Simone, Brand, Post Thomas, Richard C. Randall, Johnny Curry, Mike Tyson, and more. Be inspired by the stories and learn how cannabis works from Dr. Bridget Cole Williams and Dr. Yui Belshing. This robust edition in the series will challenge your assumptions and enlighten your point of view as you develop courage in cannabis, the triumphant stories. So you can buy it, you can donate here, you can buy it on Amazon, you can read a free demo right there. So yeah, that's exciting. So yeah. Oh, Adam Wilkes. Adam Wilkes is the CEO. Adam Wilkes is Tyson 2.0 Chief Executive Officer and Vice Chairman of the board. He formerly served as the CEO of One Plant, a multi-state cannabis retail chain. Prior to One Plant, Wilkes served as COO of venture capital firm SOL Global. Wilkes also spent more than a decade scaling licensed retail brands, including Pinkberry and Cold Stone Creamery. I love me some Cold Stone. Here are the sponsors. You got Reverb Wellness, Spender, that's an Ohio brand, Columbus Botanical Depot, Compass Natural, Cannabis Pro, or BPO, so Superb. Also, so if you want to become a sponsor, we're definitely looking for sponsors. If you're a cannabis brand, please sponsor us. I think that'd be dope. Looking for some dope cannabis brands to sponsor. So here are the sparks. You got Robert C. Randall. You got Jane West, CEO of Jane West. You got Ed Rosenthal, guru of ganja. You got Mike Tyson, world famous boxer and cannabis mogul. We got Danielle Simone Brands, cannabis author and speaker. We got Frederica Easley, cannabis advocate, strategist for equity and justice. We got cannabis advocate, cannabis CBD certified health coach, Candy Flores. Candy Flores also is like the administrator for the book, so she does like a lot of the work for the book. She does a lot of the podcast booking. She does make sure like everybody has the information. Like she reaches out to everybody. She does stuff on TikTok, Instagram. So she does way more than that. Definitely a hard worker though, you know. Great group of people in this book. I mean, Dr. Lynn Paradonak, Paradonak, I don't know how to say that one. Medical doctor, Mary Jane Borden, best-selling author, artist, and writer, cannabis advocate. You have Mary Lynn, cannabis nurse educator. You got Michael Lawson Jr., cannabis entrepreneur educator. Nicole Buffong, plant medicine advocate, M for MM executive. You have Tyrone Russell, president, CEO, Cleveland Cannabis School of Cannabis. You have Miss Kindness, B. Ramirez, MAED, professional educator and CEO of Club Kindness. Daniel Jones, radio show host. You got Willie Fleming Jr., cannabis multi-state social equity license owner and advocate. So those are the sparks here. The featured authors, you got UA Belshing, chief science officer, medical writer for Canna Keys, Johnny Curry, cannabis entrepreneur. Got Rebecca Stanforth, cannabis advocate and author, Mary Johnson, cannabis advocate, entrepreneur and chef, Lakesha Randall, mom, student, writer, sickle cell advocate, warrior, cannabis patient advocate, Jennifer Bowser, hemp retail lobbyist, radio host and educator, Jamie Dodd, Ohio wholesale manager for Black Buddha Cannabis, type 1 diabetes warrior, Diane Lacey, author, cannabis advocate, and activist in reentry. Dr. Bridget Nicole Williams, physician, visionary, author, cannabis CBD specialist. Andrea Chalette, cannabis advocate. Xavier Burrows, cannabis entrepreneur, horticulturist, and consultant. Rick Antis, cannabis activist and liaison. Tanika Spicer Combs, cannabis advocate, patient, ordained minister and author. Nikki Lawley, cannabis patient and advocate. Nikki, cannabis nurse navigator. Natasha Andrews, attorney, cannabis advocate, educator, speaker, and author. Michelle Nari, cannabis advocate, activist, educator, and patient. Julie Doran, cannabis entrepreneur, educator, and advocate. Gerald Moore Jr., that's me, cannabis dad, athlete, and cannabis activist. Christy Chapman, cannabis entrepreneur, respiratory practitioner, and educator. Bronwyn Scarberry, cannabis patient. Amy Carter, cannabis mom, pediatric cannabis advocate. Whoa! That's a lot of reading. I think I got enough reading in for today. So yeah, that's Courage and Cannabis. So go check us out. Go support. We're accepting donations. It is a 501c3 nonprofit. So proceeds from the book will go to authors and then also to the nonprofit to support authors so that authors don't have to pay to be in the book. It also pay for just different experiences to promote the book, different events. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. This is definitely, it takes courage, to come out and talk about cannabis. Obviously employers and sponsors and family members, people have things to say. So you know sometimes you just got to jump off. You got to take the dive, and that's what we did with this. So um, I want to thank everybody on YouTube for tuning in to the Ohio Cannabis Report. This will be a long one, so if you tune into this, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you got. Your thoughts are of the Ohio Cannabis Program, whatever state you are in. What are your, are you legal, rec, adult use? What's your position in it? Are you for cannabis, against cannabis? Let us know your thoughts. But I want to thank you guys for all the love and support on IG, YouTube, wherever you find us at. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you find us useful, please share. Share with a couple friends. But we out. Peace. All right. So we just ended